to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Star Trek fans are psyched that Patrick Stewart is returning to play Captain Picard in an all-new TV series on CBS All Access. And while story details on the show have been scarce, we do know that it'll be about the legendary character exploring the next chapter of his life some 20 years after we last saw him in 2002's Star Trek Nemesis. But a recent interview with Star Trek executive producer Alex Kurtzman has revealed some interesting hints about the show, even while it's gotten some folks confused about which timeline it takes place in. Let's nerdsplain this thing. Kurtzman told The Hollywood Reporter that Picard's life was radically altered by the dissolution of the Romulan Empire. This is a reference to an event from the first J.J. Abrams reboot movie, 2009 Star Trek. In that film, which Kurtzman co-wrote by the way, we learned that a supernova in the year 2387 threatened to destroy the galaxy. In the chronology of Trek, the supernova happened about 8 years after we last saw Picard in the 2002 movie Star Trek Nemesis.
Going so right.
We don't know where Picard was during the supernova catastrophe, but we do know again, thanks to the 2009 film, that Leonard Nimoy's Spock, good guy that he is, attempted to stop the event by creating a black hole that would absorb the supernova. Even though this is all detailed in Trek 2009, it ties neatly into The Next Generation, where we had last seen Nimoy's Spock living on Romulus.
Captain Picard.
Anyway, he was successful in stopping the supernova, but not before the Romulan homeworld was destroyed. Another not-so-small side effect of this incident was that Spock and the Romulan ship Narada, captained by a guy named Nero, were both pulled into the black hole. This sent them back in time 129 and 154 years, respectively. Upon his arrival in the past, the first thing Nero did was attack the starship Kelvin, aka the ship which baby James T. Kirk's dad took command of in its final minutes, aka that time we first noticed Chris Hemsworth before he was cast as Thor.
Let's name him after your dad. Let's call him Jim.
This attack and the Romulans' presence in the past changed history, causing an alternate timeline to be formed, which is now known by fans as the Kelvin timeline, or the Abrams verse, named after J.J. Abrams, of course. It's in this reality that the 3 Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto movies take place. And since it's an alternate timeline, story, character, and plot details can diverge from the original tales of William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and the rest. That's how you got Spock making out with Uhura. Khan turned out to be a white guy too, and so on.
You should have let me sleep.
But to get back to Picard, his new show will continue to take place in the prime timeline that all Star Trek has aside from the Abrams films. While the inciting incident of the Kelvin timeline, the destruction of Romulus and the black hole that followed, happened in the prime timeline, only the Nimoy Spock, Nero, and his crew traveled to the new reality. Picard and everyone else we knew from the Next Generation era of Star Trek stayed home.
I should have done this a long time ago.
Though it sounds like that home has been significantly impacted by the disaster caused by the supernova, the new show will be the first time we've seen the future of Star Trek after Nemesis, as all the series and movies released since then have taken place during earlier periods in the franchise's history. But the destruction of the Romulan homeworld and the dissolution of the major power that was the Empire that apparently followed would be a huge event in the Trek world that could very well change the balance of power in the galaxy. Add to that Picard's own connection to the Romulans, and you've got the makings of some interesting drama. In Nemesis, the captain learned that he had a clone who was living among the Romulans, and indeed had taken over the Empire. Also, he was played by young Tom Hardy, which is really weird.
I can think of no greater torment for you.
Picard also had a relationship with Spock and his father Sarek, and even went looking for Spock on Romulus in The Next Generation. Long story short, nothing that happens in the Abrams timeline bears any impact on Picard's universe. To Jean-Luc, for example, history still says it was Spock who sacrificed himself to save the Enterprise during the events of Star Trek II, not Kirk, who did so in the Abrams verse. So while the Picard show will take place in the traditional prime timeline, the producers have found a clever way to connect it to the events of the modern movies. The series is expected to debut in late 2019. Are you excited for it? Tell us in the comments section. And don't forget to check out our videos on where Star Trek's Picard series should boldly go, and our reaction to Season 1 finale of Star Trek. And as always, be sure to follow and subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.